Duncan Cartledge Online. Insights for construction professionals. Welcome to this latest episode of the Duncan Cartledge Online podcast, the online resource for construction professionals. Duncan Cartledge Online offers more than 9 hours of video presentations that are available 24/7 for just £7 a month. Please remember to subscribe to your local podcast provider so you don't miss out on any updates, and be sure to visit our YouTube channel for additional content. It's great to have you with us again for another episode, and as always I'm joined by Barney, my red Labrador, who helps keep an eye on things and occasionally offers some invaluable advice. Now, both Barney and I would be delighted if you could take a moment to write a review. Your feedback does mean a lot to us. If this is your first time listening to a Duncan Cartledge Online podcast, welcome. Please remember to subscribe and catch up on previous episodes. To our existing subscribers, thank you very much for your continued support. Please help us by spreading the word about the podcast. With summer well and truly here, Barney and I are taking a few weeks off from podcasts to decompress and recharge. That's if you can do both at the same time. But never fear, we'll be back in August. So this episode is a retrospective of Series 3. I would sum up the last 12 months in just one word: frustrating. The industry has seen lots of targets, been given lots of promises, but very little, if you'll excuse the pun, that's concrete. In fact, there has been a total absence of any ideas that will encourage growth, but quite a few that will damage it. Richard Steer, writing in Building, remarked, "The Chancellor has already flown more kites than Mary Poppins." And then, of course, a recent statement by the King of the North promised the biggest rebalancing of power our country has seen, including a pledge to deliver the biggest council house building programme since the post-war period. The building programme, to be overseen by Number 10 North, will seek to reduce costs by using vacant public land and bringing higher density residential development across the UK towns. But, King Andy, where are the skilled workers to come from? Interesting times ahead, I think. I try not to be political, but Scottish and Welsh devolution hasn't exactly been a roaring success, has it? So, what have the headline makers been in construction land during the past 12 months? Well, top of the list must be AI, which seems to be generating more heat than light recently. The question was posed this week: is AI more dangerous than nuclear weapons? I think the penny is beginning to drop that it's not a silver bullet. At a recent seminar on AI in construction, 140 plus attendees were asked to write their thoughts on what the impact of AI will be by 2035. Some of the comments were from household names, and even they were struggling to define the AI future, apart from general comments like enhanced automation and elimination of substantial amounts of work. Other comments included greater connectivity, a move away from silo working, and an improvement in standardization. However, there were also a substantial number of attendees who were cynical about the ability for construction to change in the next 10 years. The RICS issued a rather level-headed global professional statement on the responsible use of artificial intelligence in surveying practice, in which it warns, and I quote, "AI system outputs may not always be fully predictable or fully explainable, and in any event, there is an inherent risk of error and/or bias in AI systems due to error and/or bias in the algorithms used." It doesn't sound like the kind of stuff you'd stake your professional reputation on, does it? As pointed out in the RICS statement, generative AI is only as good as the data it is fed on. What's the term? Rubbish in, rubbish out? So if you're scratching your head about just how to take advantage of the AI revolution, assuming it arrives, the smart people are letting the early adopters make the mistakes, while getting their data into a form that any AI-based process or system that you may wish to adopt in the future can feed to its heart's content. But a final word of caution. This is how ChatGPT describes Duncan Cartledge Online, an online platform representing Duncan Cartledge. Okay so far. An author known for his engaging children's books and stories, the website serves as a hub for literary works. Under areas of improvement for my site, the advice from ChatGPT is limited interactive features or multimedia content to engage younger audiences further. I really don't know how to follow that, except to say that according to Building, 84% of the top 150 consultants intend to spend on AI in the future, with digital optimism at an all-time high. I saw a post on LinkedIn posing the question over the authenticity of an AI image of a very large drone-type ready-mix machine pouring concrete from a great height into formwork. Is this the future for placing concrete? The post asked. Alarmingly, some people posting thought it was. Imagine that little lot getting out of control. It could start World War III. Notwithstanding the above, the major AI companies are making an absolute packet. To give you some idea, Anthropic, the developers of Claude, have agreed an out-of-court settlement of, wait for it, $1.5 trillion. That's 1 million for using pirated copyright materials to train their little Claude. Compensation payments to 500,000 authors is due to start soon, but it doesn't appear to have dented Anthropic's balance sheet. Another recurring topic over the past series was skills shortages. Attracting Gen Z onto a dirty cold building site still appears to be a major problem. What? No breakout rooms or air conditioning? The Federation of Master Builders reports that 61% of its members are struggling to recruit skilled tradespeople. In fact, the number of skilled workers needed to deliver the government's ambitious programs seems to be getting bigger by the week. The solution to date seems to be shortening training, apprenticeships and university courses, but many older heads don't agree and can see this approach as a race to the bottom, resulting in poor building quality and substandard outcomes. On the same topic, I was disappointed to learn that one of the largest QS degree courses in the UK has cut the amount of time devoted to taking off quantities from 24 weeks to 12 weeks in year 1 and from 24 weeks to 12 weeks in year 2, and is being delivered digitally. Sounds a bit like running before you can walk to me. Apparently the students are very happy with this development, probably because measurement has always been a problem for many students, but what does it say about the future of the profession and the industry? One of the reasons for the decline in teaching measurement is the people who can deliver taking off lectures, that's people like me, are like hen's teeth. Increasingly, university lecturers are appointed based on their research profile, which, not unsurprisingly, doesn't include measurement. It seems like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and in a few years there will be no one left. It was with great sadness that Mothman, aka Justin Sullivan, fluttered away a few months ago, although I'm not sure the RICS felt that way. The newly appointed president of the RICS became embroiled in a legal wrangle when he was asked to act as an expert witness on the condition of a moth-infested mansion. And now moving on. For some time there have been rumours that the PFI, the Private Finance Initiative, will make a comeback as part of the government's infrastructure plans. It's claimed that a new generation of public-private partnerships will be more agile, whatever that means, more transparent, with more aligned outcomes, with risk and reward more intelligently shared. Historically, PPPs often sought to transfer significant risk to the private sector, which in turn drove up costs and limited innovation. It's claimed that a more balanced approach is required, one that recognises the public sector's role as a long-term steward of place, again, whatever that means, and the private sector's expertise in delivering and capital deployment. Well, we'll see, but it does seem a bit ironic that a procurement route so vilified by the left wing and criticised by trade unions is now being brought back. During the last few months, not for the first time, the competency of UK construction was called into question more than once. HS2 admitted, and I quote, "It got the numbers wrong," as the Birmingham train depot was finally let at more than 3 times the original £250 million budget, with a revised price tag of £856 million. This means the cost of the project has gone up by nearly 250%, and bear in mind this is only the initial budget, so we can expect the final bill to be well over £1 billion. Or am I just being a cynic? In a statement to Building Magazine, HS2 admitted that mistakes had been made estimating the scale of the job, and in another attempt to shift blame, said that the project had been hit by price inflation that affected construction over the past few years. But surely we all know costs increase over time, so surely some allowance should have been made for this. At the same time, the government announced in its latest update on the scheme that more than £43 billion has already been spent to date, and that's up from the £37.6 billion announced only in July last year. And whilst on the question of waste, at least 5 million tonnes of construction waste ends up in landfill each year in the UK. However, some of the waste is unavoidable, and that waste is due to errors. It is estimated that construction errors cost the UK billions of pounds. Across the construction industry, errors are estimated to cost up to £25 billion annually, or around 21% of total project value. And this is according to the Get It Right initiative. To try to improve this situation, in 2015 the Get It Right initiative, or GIRI, was launched out of discussions at the Institution of Civil Engineers Best Practice Panel. GRI's definition of an error is an action or inaction that results in a requirement for rework, a requirement for extra work, or produces a defect. Errors occur across the whole construction life cycle, from upstream processes including raw material processing and manufacturing, through to construction, commissioning and handover. However, inadequate planning is the single biggest cause of construction error by value, according to a new report from the CITB and the Get It Right initiative. Poor planning, as characterised by poorly coordinated design, poor communication and later design changes, accounting for roughly 75% of costs associated with defects. While the industry has made progress, significant challenges remain. Subsequent GRI research identified that other causes of errors were, and you may recognise some of these, poor culture in relation to quality by many firms, inadequate attention paid in the design to construction, resulting in details that are difficult if not impossible to build, excessive commercial, financial and time pressure, resulting in cutting corners to meet deadlines, and ineffective communication between team members, the so-called silo mentality. The Get It Right initiative also identified inadequate supervisory skills, resulting in poorly qualified personnel being left to their own devices. Now, we all know there's a massive skill shortage in the construction industry, and we have all read experiences of new build house owners, often under the headline New Build Hell. This headline, combined with the current trend to reduce training, doesn't paint a very good picture, does it? Now, retention to be banned. The reaction from the construction industry to this news was muted. After years of failed attempts to tackle retentions, many in the sector were left pinching themselves in disbelief. Sober heads issued warnings that clients might find ways around the legislation by altering payment schedules to keep hold of more of their cash at the earliest stages. Preventing any such loopholes from appearing will be a major challenge for those drafting the new retention laws. But come on, we all know how the industry works. Retention payments are regularly withheld and used as a bargaining chip to lever further discounts or favour. And even if you're fortunate enough to get work, you will be required to engage in an aggressive negotiation process to reduce agreed prices. I call it the supply chain squeeze. Now, just banging the drum. July the 14th sees the publication of the 5th edition of the Quantity Surveyor's Pocketbook. Since 2008, the Quantity Surveyor's Pocketbook has continued to reflect changes to the profession and the industry. The book includes complimentary videos, as well as presenting taking off in traditional and spreadsheet format. Well, that's all for this episode. I hope you find Series 3 interesting. Thank you for listening right through to the end. Barney and I think your stamina is world class. This has been another episode from Duncan Cartridge Online. We'd really appreciate it if you could help us by spreading the word, subscribing, and if you have time, write a review. See you after the summer. Barney has already packed his swimmies, so until next time, thank you for your continued support and take care.